The two distress signals hit the M cascade at the same moment and tore each other apart. Ensign Petra Callan saw the result on her navigation board at 22:19 station time, a single scrambled composite ping riding Earth's patrol emergency band, the kind of ghost signature she had been trained to ignore as interference. She was 22 years old and 8 months into her first posting on the patrol cutter Resolve, and she had been told 3 times during her academy rotation that the Cascade 8 signals the way a drain ate water. In, down, gone. She pulled the ping anyway because it had a shape to it, not the random spatter of Cascade bleed, something structured underneath the noise. "Chief Acaffer," she said, "I have something on the emergency band." Chief Petty Officer Emmanuel Acaffer was at the helm, 2 meters to her left, keeping the Resolve on its sweep heading with the controlled attention of a man who had been flying through marginal M conditions for 11 years. He did not look up, to find something. 2 signals merged. They hit the Cascade at the same entry angle and the interference folded them together. Petra worked the signal apart in the analysis suite, peeling back the composite layer by layer. "I'm reading 2 separate origin tags underneath the noise. Oressi emergency format civilian transport code, and something else. Military, but I can't resolve the species." The merge corrupted both headers. "Who are they addressed to?" "Not us." She found the routing data, what remained of it. The civilian signal was addressed to the Oressi Rescue Directorate, Sector 15. The military one, the Cascade chewed through the addressee field entirely. She looked at the composite signature again. Whatever it ate, it spat the remains onto our patrol band. Acaffer was quiet for 2 seconds. The Resolve shuddered as a Cascade eddy brushed its shields. "Distance to origin," he said. "That's the problem." Petra pulled up the localization. The Cascade's M interference smeared the origin point across a volume of space roughly 4 light minutes across. "I can narrow it down to a search cone, but it's wide. And to reach anything inside it, we'd have to enter the Cascade." Petty Officer Second Class Yuki Asano, their systems engineer, had turned in her seat at the back of the bridge. "Our shields aren't rated for a Cascade transit. The field intensity at the cone boundary is already at 80% of tolerance. If we go in, we lose sensors incrementally. By the midpoint, we're flying half-blind." "Half-blind," Acaffer said, "not fully blind." "Chief, what's the civilian transport code reading?" he said. "Life signs." Petra went back to the signal. The civilian component was cleaner than the military remnant. She got more of it. "Oressi civilian mass transport. Capacity up to 60. I'm reading life sign encoding in the subcarrier." She worked the decryption. 47 life signs active, some degraded. 47 people. Acaffer looked at her. He had a face that did not perform emotions, only registered them, the way an instrument panel registered readings. What it registered now matched what Petra's chest was doing, a flat reckoning with arithmetic. "Oressi Rescue Directorate response time to Sector 15 in a Cascade event," he said. "Minimum 40 minutes. Any rescue ship not already inside the field envelope has to circumnavigate." "We're already inside the field envelope," Asano said quietly. "We've been in it for 6 minutes." Acaffer said, "Lay in a course for the signal cone center point. We will lose navigational accuracy as we go deeper. The interference will." "I know what the interference will do," Acaffer said. "Callan, when sensors start degrading, how do you navigate?" Petra understood what he was asking. It was what her academy instructor had called reading the water, finding position through inference when instruments failed, using the environment itself as data. She had been good at it in the simulator. She had never done it in live Cascade conditions. "Interference pattern," she said. "The Cascade has a structure, M turbulence, with a consistent propagation direction. I can read our position by tracking how the interference changes as we move through it. It's like navigating by the current instead of the chart." Correct. HFY had already started the helm adjustment. Get it working. The Resolve entered the Cascade's main body at 2231, and the long-range sensors dropped to 60% resolution inside the first minute. Petra began building what she privately called a ghost chart, a running map of the Cascade's internal structure derived from the way the interference affected the Resolve's own systems. Every eddy that brushed their shields left a trace in the shield feedback data. Every frequency the sensors struggled to resolve told her something about the field density in that direction. The information was indirect and imprecise, and it was what she had. At 2238, the long-range sensors dropped to 20%. Still on track, she said. We're drifting 3 degrees south of the cone center point. The field is running a clockwise bias I didn't account for. Correcting. How far to the search radius? 11 minutes. She did not look at the clock. Looking at the clock was the wrong use of attention. She kept her eyes on the ghost chart and on the composite signal remnant still there on the emergency band, faint, degraded, but structured. The structure told her something out there still had power. I'm going to lose the military signal, she said. The oressi emergency format has better redundancy. If anyone's alive and broadcasting, I'll find the oressi ship. 47 people, HFY said. Focus on the civilians. At 2247, the main sensors went dark. Not off, still running, still pulling data, but the data had degraded to a uniform gray field with artifact speckles. No distinct features, no range returns. The Cascade had blinded them in the conventional sense. The ghost chart was still running. Petra leaned into it. The Cascade had a rhythm. She had been in it for 16 minutes and had started to feel it the way you felt a ship's heartbeat through the deck plating, not quite conscious, not quite instinct, somewhere between them. The turbulence moved in a pattern. The interference signature on the emergency band was drifting with it, being carried, which meant the source was drifting too, no maneuvering power. They've lost propulsion, she said. Signals drifting northeast at roughly 200 meters per minute. At that rate, they'll hit the Cascade's high-density core in, she ran it. 19 minutes. After that, I can't guarantee our shields hold to reach them. Then we have 19 minutes, HFY said. Where are they? Petra looked at the ghost chart and at the way the interference density had shifted, a subtle pressure from the northwest. The kind that meant a large mass was there, blocking and redirecting the field. There, she said. She marked a point 1,400 kilometers northwest. No sensor confirmation, nothing to back it up except the shape of the interference around a presence she could not see directly. I think they're there. The signal keeps originating from that direction when I compensate for the drift. There's a shadow in the field, something blocking the interference propagation, something large. You think, Asano said. I'm 90% certain. What does the other 10% say? That I'm reading an density variation that I've mistaken for a mass shadow. A beat too. Take us there, HFY said. 1,400 kilometers at quarter thrust. Petra working the ghost chart and calling out the eddies before they hit. Asano keeping the shield harmonics in tune. HFY flying the headings Petra gave him with the quiet precision of someone who had decided to trust a number and was done reconsidering. At 22:59, the shadow on the ghost chart sharpened. The interference was wrapping around something, bending the way current bent around a rock in a river. The geometry resolved into a rough shape, large, roughly cylindrical, bow toward the approaching Cascade density. I have them, Petra said. Oressi civilian transport, range 400 kilometers. Hull integrity holding but dark, no propulsion, no active sensors, emergency systems only. Asano composed the hail on the oressi emergency band, the only frequency still clear enough to carry voice. They broadcast it and waited. The reply came back in 40 seconds. A voice, adult, Female, carefully controlled in a way that told Petra the speaker had been keeping herself calm for longer than she could easily sustain. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Salaveth of the Oressi transport Keth's Reach. I have 47 passengers and crew. We lost drive power when we entered the Cascade. A safety interlock disengaged our manifold when the M load exceeded tolerances. We have been drifting for 31 minutes. I sent a distress beacon to the Oressi Rescue Directorate. A pause. Your signal identifier does not match any Oressi vessel. Captain Veth, this is Earth Patrol Cutter Resolve. We received your distress signal on our emergency band. We believe it merged with another signal in the Cascade, and the composite bounced to our frequency. We are 370 kilometers out and closing. A longer pause. Petra could imagine the math being done on the other end, who, how, why, and then being set aside, because it was less immediately relevant than the other math, the one about the Cascade's high-density core and the 19 minutes that had already become 12. Earth vessel, Captain Veth said. I did not know Earth monitored this sector. We patrol the boundary sweep. We were already inside the field envelope when the composite signal arrived. You are inside the Cascade. Yes. A shorter pause. My interlock will not reset without external power input. Can you provide it? That's why we're here, Asano said. The Resolve came alongside the Keth's Reach at 2308. On short-range optical, the only sensor mode still functioning. The Oressi transport was a wide-bodied passenger vessel designed for comfort rather than resilience. Hull already stressed by the Cascade's M load, running lights dim on emergency power. A civilian ship with no business being in an M event of this magnitude, and 47 people aboard who had ended up there anyway. The power coupling took 11 minutes. Asano ran it from outside while Akafor held the Resolve in station-keeping contact with the Keth's Reach, adjusting thrust every 30 seconds to stay alongside a ship that was still drifting northeast toward the high-density core. Petra watched the drift rate and called the corrections. The core was 8 minutes away when Asano reported the coupling seated. 7. When Veth's engineering crew confirmed the interlock reset. 6. When the Keth's Reach's main drive came back with a startup shudder, they felt through the umbilical. Drive nominal, Veth said on the open channel. We are maneuvering. Follow us out, Akafor said. Callan, reverse course, same heading we came in on. Petra had kept the ghost chart running throughout. She laid in the return course without hesitation, and they began moving, the Resolve leading, the Keth's Reach behind, with 5 minutes to the Cascade core at their current drift rate, and both ships moving at the limit Akafor had calculated for tandem maneuvering through a compromised field. Petra read the interference map and called the eddies the same way she had on the way in, except now there were 2 ships to route instead of 1. They cleared the main body of the Cascade at 2329. The interference density dropped by half in 60 seconds, then by half again. Petra's board came back in increments, short-range first, then mid-range, then the long-range sensors returning in fragments as the field thinned and the Cascade's grip on their systems relaxed. She sat back. Her hands were shaking and she had not noticed until now. Both vessels clear of main Cascade body, she said. Keth's Reach drive is holding. Akafor logged it, then composed the incident report with the same unhurried precision he brought to everything. The Oressi Rescue Directorate's vessel arrived 40 minutes later, having circumnavigated the Cascade, and found the Keth's Reach holding station outside the field boundary with 47 passengers and crew intact, an Earth Patrol cutter on escort off its starboard side. Captain Veth opened the channel when the Directorate ship was still on approach, her voice without the careful control it had carried inside the Cascade. Earth Cutter Resolve, I have 47 people aboard. 31 minutes ago I believed we were going to lose several of them before rescue could reach us. A pause. Your signal identifier appeared on my board and I did not know what to make of it. You entered the Cascade on the basis of a signal that was never addressed to you, with instruments that would not function in the conditions you were entering, and you found us in the dark. Our navigation officer used the interference pattern, HFY said. She found you. A longer silence, not the calculated silence of someone deciding what to say, the silence of someone who had run the numbers and understood them. We did not know to ask for you, Veth said. Our signal was not aimed at Earth. We did not know Earth was even in this sector. You didn't have to ask, Petra said. She had not planned to speak. It came out the way things came out when you had been holding very still for a long time and something finally gave. Your signal reached us. That was enough. 6 weeks later, when the Keth's Reach filed its formal account with the Oressi Transit Authority, Captain Sala Veth included a rider the archivists flagged as unusual for a routine incident filing. The rider read, in part, "The composite distress signal that reached the Earth vessel was never aimed at Earth. It was the result of two signals merging in the Cascade's interference zone, and the composite remnant landing on Earth's patrol band by chance. The Earth crew did not know how many people were aboard. They did not have confirmed coordinates. They entered a Cascade event with instruments that would degrade to uselessness before they could reach us, navigated by reading the interference pattern itself, and found us in the dark." Veth had added one line at the end, written in her own hand in the original oressi, underneath the signature block. "I do not know how to file that as a category. I have decided the record should say it anyway." Petra found out about the rider when the Transit Authority's formal acknowledgement reached the resolve through the standard relay chain. HFY read it, set it aside, and went back to the sweep log. Asano read it and said nothing, then returned to the shield harmonics she had been recalibrating. Petra read it once and looked out the viewport at the Cascade's outer boundary, 3 light minutes ahead on the current sweep heading, the same region of space, the same interference haze on the edge of their sensors, the same quiet shape it always had. 47 people. She turned back to her navigation board and began the next sector pass.